You may not know it yet, but the reason that you've been feeling stuck or depleted or drained is because you've been dimming your inner light. This isn't just another productivity hack or morning ritual. This is about coming back home to your radiance. And not the kind of radiance that the world tells us to chase, but the kind that rises from within when you feel safe and seen. To start, I'm going to speak from my own experience of my journey with my inner radiance in hopes that it really resonates in some way with you on your own journey. Radiance and inner light is something that's truly magical. And I feel like when we think about being radiant, we only think about the beauty from the outside, not from the inside. And the issue with that is, yes, the outside is great and taking care of our vessels is something that's very important, but it does not actually mean that the radiance of which you radiate is something that people are going to feel drawn to, feel light around, feel beautiful. There's a difference between when someone walks in a room and people say, wow, you can really feel their energy, or, you turn heads. And this doesn't necessarily mean good or bad, or it can mean both. It could be the positive side where you turn heads in a room and people are like, whoa, I want to be friends with that person. Or you can turn heads and people look at you and want to avoid you like the plague. So why inner radiance is important. And by the way, you could be the most beautiful looking person in the room and still have the negative radiance of which people don't want to speak to you. Or you can be maybe the not most attractive person to an average eye, but you radiate an energy of which people want to speak to you and be your friend. And this is all done from internal work and connecting with our bodies and connecting with our spirit and our soul and our inner light and our happiness and joy. And this is where we really can actually radiate. So my story is definitely that I only thought radiance came from the way that I looked, and being a model when I was younger didn't help with that relationship. And then of course, being in a public relationship for many years, that just fueled the fire of which you think that only the way that you look is the way that people like you. And it took me a very long time and many, many years to understand that it wasn't about how I looked, even though it is important to take care of ourselves. And of course, I love a beauty ritual and I take care of my body and I nourish it, with beautiful food. And there's so much beauty to nourishing our vessel and the physical and the way that we look and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, the energy of which we resonate, which some of you may understand this as an aura. So when people say you feel someone's aura or our human bodies have an aura around us, it literally is this energy that we radiate from within. When I was only focused on what I look like from the outside, and this was, came from many different ways. I was always doing beauty stuff. I was getting lip fillers. I got a boob job when I was really young. I was wearing makeup all the time. I was doing every beauty trend you could possibly think of. I was killing myself at the gym. I was doing all this external stuff, which in the wellness world is, seen as taking care of yourself, which yes, there are a lot of things of which that is taking care of yourself, but that doesn't actually mean that you're taking care of your light from within. And in my own journey, it wasn't until I left an 8-year relationship that was really, really hard on me mentally, physically, emotionally, and deep dive into spiritual work and understanding why I was in a relationship and allowing certain behaviors and not knowing my self-worth and tying all these things to my childhood and not dealing with some of my childhood trauma and how it was manifesting into my adulthood is when I started to actually transform the density, the negativity that was in my body that actually helped me radiate. And of course, back in those days when I was going out and I was partying and I was hanging out, with the 1% of the world and, everyone cared about how they looked. And yes, in that world of the superficial world, they are looking only at the way that you look in the physical, because everyone can feel energy, but at the end of the day, when you only care about something superficial, you're not really going to tap into the beautiful energy of which is the non-so-logical mind, which I feel is one of the most powerful and in tune ways you can be. It's why we feel so good in nature. Nature radiates a certain frequency, which our bodies resonate with to make us feel calm and energized and all of these things, but it's not necessarily something that you can see, right? So when I started doing this inner work, I would say that, yes, I was noticed from a beauty perspective before, but I wouldn't say that, my energy radiated from a room, or you could feel my energy before I even entered a room. And when I started doing all of my spiritual work and inner work and connecting back to myself and journaling and meditation and working with spiritual healers and going on retreats and pilgrimages and deep diving into why I was the way that I was, or why I attracted certain things into my life, and removed myself from the victim mentality and stepped into I'm the only one responsible for my happiness and joy, is when that radiance inside of myself really started to change. And it took some years, and I'm not saying that you have to do all of this work to have your radiance start to transform. I'm going to give you some simple tools that you can start doing today that is really going to help you start shining the light from within. The reason why I'm touching on this topic is because spring is such a beautiful time to start radiating new energy. It is the time of rebirth. It is the time of the astrological true New Year's, when everything starts to begin again. And this is the perfect time to start to check in with ourselves and start to ask ourselves questions and see where we're at energetically, and see how we can become more in tune with ourselves and what work we can do and reflection we can do to really start radiating something of fresh energy, of beauty, of giving, of love. And my journey back to that, when I started doing this internal work, for a while I didn't want to be around people or in a public space or do anything like that, and that is totally okay. When we start to do work on ourselves and we start to unravel certain things that we store emotionally, and trauma stores in the body, so there's a lot of signs in our bodies which help us understand trauma. Sometimes you just don't want to be around anyone because you're just vulnerable and sensitive, and there's nothing wrong with that, and sometimes we have to go through phases where that is what we do. But once we start to come out of these phases and we start to step into our light and we have more energy and that density is transformed and the connectivity to ourselves is back again, it's pretty outstanding how different the world looks in your day-to-day life. Like, I remember the first time I went out when I started feeling energy, and it was like everybody wanted to talk to me, and I just had never experienced something like that in my life, and it was just so weird. It was one of those things where it's just like, whoa, okay, I think this work works because it changes the perception of your reality so much in the physical. And this is why spiritual work and inner work is so powerful, because even though you don't know if it's working at the time because you can't perceive energy in your logical mind, when you go out to the real world and start putting yourself out there again, it's amazing how that's where you really understand the true essence of the shift, because you can see it in the physical with people, relationships, jobs, scenarios. Things just start moving and transforming into your life to start building the life of joy and happiness of which you want. And the importance of doing this work is that when you radiate such beauty and joy and happiness and giving, you're radiating essentially the light of the creator, whatever you believe in, and doing that is how you're able to attract all of the things that we want. If you want a greater partner, if you want more abundance, if you want a new job, it's in the hard times where we sit with ourselves and we start asking ourselves questions that we are able to transform that energy and be able to bring in the things that we want. So in my journey, when I started doing that, and the deeper that I got and the more that I transformed, and I still have a journey to go for the rest of my life, I think this is something that you have to work on forever. It's like layers of an onion, right? You just keep peeling them back and back and back, and you learn more and you get deeper and you learn more. But it becomes easier over time because you learn these tools that you have in your toolbox for when life basically gives you scenarios where you're like, what the F, and how do I get through this situation? It could be so many different things: an emotional thing, a trigger, a loss of something, a going from having a bunch of money to having no money, losing a relationship. There's so many different dynamics of which can help you actually transform your inner light. So before I get into anything more, I just want to ground the energy a little bit and do a grounding practice with you guys. This is a practice I teach a lot in my online community, Shayna Serene Circle, and we do sacred circle sessions and pick different themes of the month. But every time we do our sacred circle Zooms, we always ground our energy. And so I just want to share this little bit of grounding knowledge and visualization with you if you feel called to listen. So wherever you are, just close your eyes, be in a comfortable seated position, lying down if that feels better. And just coming in tune with our bodies, into our internal world, maybe connecting with our heartbeat. In the middle of our chest. Taking a couple soft inhales and exhales. Dropping our shoulders, relaxing our stomach. Just grounding into the moment. Now I want you to envision a light to the back of your heart. And I want that light to shine a beacon down your spine, down your legs, into your feet. And then through your feet, you actually start to root like a tree down into the ground below you. And any way you visualize this is totally fine. It can be colorful, it can be roots exactly like a tree, it can be any visualization that feels comfortable and that shows up for you. Rooting as deep as you can down into the earth, starting to feel more grounded, more connected to Mother Nature. Then I want you to pull and visualize the energy of the earth going up to the roots, up through your feet, and into the back of your heart. Feeling the grounded energy, feeling that you can be supported by earth at any time, any day. Then I want you to visualize a golden string from the top of your heart, through your chest, through your throat, through the back of your head, and then out through your crown. Going up out of the body, into the sky, and all the way up to the sun, the moon, and the Creator. Gathering this beautiful white light, it can be white and gold or whatever color feels resonance for you. And pulling that light all the way down this beautiful golden cord back into the head, through the throat, down into the top of the heart. Sitting in this beautiful energy, grounded from above and below. And now just putting a beautiful orb around your body. It could be gold, it could be bright white, pink, purple, blue, whatever color feels resonance for you right now in this moment. Just putting it all around your body, asking this light to protect you. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes and come back into the space. So another important thing when you want to radiate light or positive energy is feeling grounded. When we're fragmented or ungrounded in our lives, we tend to create chaos. And we tend to attract chaos. If you run into things often or drop things a lot or forget things a lot, most likely these are signs that you are ungrounded. Also, if you have a lot of digestive issues or bloating issues, a lot of the time we can be split in half energetically when we're ungrounded, and that obviously goes straight through the stomach area, which can create a lot of imbalance in our digestive tract. This is why stress and the stomach are such important things to focus on. And when we talk about gut health, which is a completely different topic, which I've covered in my masterclass, Inner Alchemy, and speak about a lot on my Instagram, is stress management is number one for healing our guts. And so radiating our inner light, the more that we can practice self-love, the more that we can release shame, the more that we can have more forgiveness, not only for ourselves, but also for people who have hurt us. And understanding that every single hardship that we've been through has only been opportunities that have been shown to us of how we can self-reflect to better ourselves energetically and, of course, come out the other side stronger, better, and more in tune. Now, the victim mentality is very easy to fall into, and it's very easy to blame other people for being mean or doing things to us, which, by the way, is very valid. Most of the time, things need to be addressed, of course, to people who have hurt us in specific ways, but there's very strategic ways of which we can do this, where we can both self-reflect on why a situation would come into our lives or why we would attract something energetically that would hurt us, and to be able to come from a loving place and communicate our needs or set boundaries to a person who had hurt us, which is a beautiful way to bring back our energy and become unfragmented and ground ourselves and actually be able to radiate more light. Now I want to cover some journaling and inner reflections for you guys to take away, to start self-reflecting, to gather our inner light. You can either grab a journal and write these prompts down as I read them, or of course you can simply just close your eyes and reflect on these questions and journal later, or come back to this video, of course, anytime. So the first question that I have for you to self-reflect on is, where in my life am I still dimming my light? This can be so many different ways: in our jobs, in our relationships, in our own relationship to ourselves. Feeling small because you don't want to be too much in the world. I know that when I was a child, it all started from childhood trauma of being in a household where there was a lot of drama. And so I wanted to make myself as small as possible so that I could hide essentially and not cause any more drama for the family. And so that dimmed my light so much starting from a very young age. And then I was dyslexic as a child and was 3 years behind in reading, and I would just die if someone called on me to read in class because I felt so embarrassed and so ashamed and so not smart. And that made me just want to shrink even smaller and dim my light so that people didn't notice me. And it took me a very long time as an adult to feel comfortable to start sharing my light and to start recovering myself from that situation, those situations where I just wanted to be as small as possible. And so if this resonates with you, or there's any other circumstances of where you just rather hide or dim your light than to be seen, this is exactly what I'm talking about. And this is where we need to really self-reflect on why we would be dimming our lights and not sharing the beautiful light of which we all have uniquely ourselves to share. The next question I have is, what am I afraid of happening if I show up in my full radiant self? So a lot of times we dim our lights, or we don't attract abundance, or we don't attract our partner because there's actually a deep fear that if we do get it, we will lose it. Or if there's so many different things that can come up for us, but it's very important to self-reflect on what that might be, because we need to go back and uncover it so that we can recognize that it's not our truth, and typically it comes from some sort of trauma, so that we can start to attract our inner light again. The next question I have, what does radiance mean to me? How does it feel in my body and in my spirit? So I really want you to self-reflect on this and also think about the superficial radiance and the unsuperficial radiance and what those both mean to you, because even though superficial radiance has its positive things, like I love taking care of myself, of course, in the physical, but I don't define my radiance and my energy and my beauty through that. I define it as my inner work and the energy of which I give to the world. is how I define my beauty and my radiance. The next question is, what is one thing I'm ready to shed this spring? This is a perfect opportunity to think of one thing that you really are ready to just freaking let go of it. Something that has been holding you back, a thought process that has been going on for however many years, or something that you feel has come up over and over again that you've wanted to get over, but you just haven't been able to. Like, what is one thing that you are just ready to like let it go this spring? The last question that I have, what is one thing that I'm ready to embody? So when we release something, it's the perfect opportunity to take the emptiness of when we release something, right? Because we're getting rid of it, it's leaving our bodies. What's the energy of which we want to embody to fill this energy that is now released? And this is a beautiful way to really bring in new energy when we're ready to get rid of something that is dense. Take your time to reflect on these journaling prompts or come back to them anytime if you want to do it later because you were listening to this YouTube in a place where you couldn't necessarily write things down. I really love journaling. It's one of the best tools we have to self-reflect and have really some beautiful aha moments. So if you're into journaling, really highly recommend coming back and journaling with these prompts. If not, I highly recommend starting a 5-minute journaling practice because it is life-changing. And then I want to just end with a ritual and a takeaway practice for you guys to do other than the journaling, just to continue to embody our inner radiance as much as we can. So this will be I guess it could be a meditation practice because we're going to be doing a visualization, but this is something that you can listen to now and do by yourself in your own time. But you can pretty much do this as many times as you want and as many times you feel that you may need it until it really lands, or you can use this for the rest of your life if you want. But go ahead and close your eyes, light a candle if that feels good, or an incense or something to just create the essence in the space. With your eyes closed, visualize the version of you who's been hiding her light. This can be a certain scenario or a specific time of your life, or literally what you look like now. The one carrying burnout, fear, or perfectionism. See her gently step forward and lay all of those down. Now visualize her reclaiming herself. Having this energy, this aura around her that shines bright, maybe wearing color or laughing more, moving like the sun that lives inside her bones. Feel this energy in your body now, because she is you. Now repeat together. You can say it in your mind, or of course out loud is also as powerful. I am safe to be seen. I honor the light within me, and I awaken my radiance now. And before we go, I invite you to try this each morning for the next 7 days. Place one hand on your heart and one on your belly. Take 3 deep breaths. Two more like that. And you can whisper, I am radiant from within. Radiance doesn't come from doing more. It comes from letting your truth be seen. The practice that I gave you, even in the morning, is a beautiful time before you, let's say, even get out of bed. You can just sit up on your bed, the side of your bed, and put your hand over your heart and take deep breaths and have this visualization of your radiant self coming forward and you releasing the burnout, the fear, the perfectionism, the energy of which you want to release. Even though visualizations sometimes feel like they aren't powerful, they're actually extremely powerful. And even if you can't visualize the perfect scenario, I remember when I was first getting started in my spiritual journey, like visualizations just didn't really come to me. I wasn't really like a visual person, but I can still kind of view the essence of things and it's enough. It's just the feeling more and the resonance of the words and the scenarios more than being able to visualize something perfectly. If this ritual spoke to you, share this with someone that you love, someone that even if maybe they radiate so much love and beauty now, could hear this and maybe even radiate more. And the more that we share and the more that this ripples, the more that we really change the world, and that's the most important part. So if this feels like something good to you, I would love for you to share it. And of course, if you want to subscribe to my channel, I would also really love that too. If you're also interested in continuing my wisdom and being in a community of like-minded individuals to help you on whichever journey you are going through or on, I have an online community called Shayna Serene Circle, and we cover so many different topics in here. I share recipes and meditations, voice notes of wisdom, and many more things. We also do cooking classes live. We have our Sacred Circle sessions every month where we do talks like this, but a bit more in depth to the detail of what the members would like to hear. And if you want to join or check it out, there's 3 days for free. And then of course it's a subscription-based model after that, and you can click the link in the description to check that out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, Radiance from Within, and if you have any comments or questions, please drop them in the comments below. I'll see you on the next one.